Happy Sunday, all you people of the internet. Mark with Kardavox Academy here, and today we're checking the recent drop from Nekrogoblikon. Show Me Your Goblin double feature part 1, and I'm excited because we haven't talked about Dickie Allen on the channel in a very long time. I've also not heard a lot of Nekrogoblikon, so why not start here? Very excited. That's pretty much it. If you're new to the channel, again, my name is Mark. I'm a full-time harsh vocal coach. I teach people how to do stuff like safely and efficiently so they don't hurt themselves, things like this. I'm also the vocalist of a band called Kardashev. We have a new album coming out on the 25th. We've got a couple songs up on Metal Blade Records YouTube channel, new singles we've released. Let's check it out. But let's go ahead. Let's listen to this song. Just be aware, I do pause. I do listen to the vocals and I give vocal analysis. I'll tell you what the vocalist is doing or how I would do it if I would do it differently. I can't replicate every single person I talk to or talk about on the channel. But what I can do is how I can show you how I would do it if I was challenged to do so. And it'll sound different, but it's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead. Let's talk Nekrogoblikon. Show Me Your Goblin. Sound dirty. It sounds dirty. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's actually go ahead and pause there. Like I said, I pause and I do vocal analysis, and I mostly focus on harsh vocals. So if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. I'm over 500 videos in. I ain't gonna stop now. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, obviously, I did not expect to go into this hearing Dickie Allen from Infinite Annihilator, right? If you want an analysis on Dickie Allen Infinite Annihilator, I actually did an over hour-long video discussion with him about Blasphemian here on the channel. It was like 3 years ago. If I should get him back on the channel for part 2 of this double feature, let me know. Mention it in the comments below. Then I can be like, hey dude, people are asking for it. You should come back on. But I will say this is hitting incredibly different than Infinite Annihilator, which again is no surprise. I didn't expect it. This is the first thing I've heard of Dickie with Nekrogoblikon since he's joined up with the band, right? And so I want to talk about some of the main things that are different. First of all, his vocals are front, center, and pretty dry, right? Front, center, and pretty dry. And now when I mean dry, I'm not necessarily talking about like his technique or even his like inherent sound. I'm talking about is the production, right? Most of that I don't hear double layers, right? It's not like double tracked where he does, you know, one vocal line and then again underneath that to create like a thickness. And it kind of makes sense he wouldn't need to because the section of music is he's not competing for a lot of like the sonic real estate in the song. But it is interesting to hear him so dry and so essentially like it sounds like it's probably pretty close to the line that I mean, sure, there's like a compressor on it and things like this, but it's very different to hear him this way. And it's also really cool because you can hear, I actually quite enjoy it. You can hear a lot of what he's doing when you're free of layers and these effects and things like that, right? And that's not to say that Infinite Annihilator screaming is fake or effects or anything. There are just more effects on it, right? So let's go ahead and let's talk about the main thing that I hear. I'm not going to talk about the layers because there were some layers like a low or a mid here. I'm not going to talk about those just yet because those may be coming later in the song. But the main thing I hear him using here is his goblin voice, or what I remember being his goblin voice. If you're not familiar with Dickie Allen, he is known by a lot of his fans and a lot of people in the metal vocal world as like the Goblin King or the guy with the goblin vocals. I don't know if he popularized the term goblin vocals, but that's where I heard it first, was referring to him. And it was often referred to this vocal. Now, maybe the term is used for other vocals he does on his stream if he's still streaming, but it's this sort of like, you know, I'm a goblin and I birthday. And it's a really fun tone and it's a really easy tone to maintain. Now, in the video I did with him on the channel a couple of years ago where we talked about Blasphemian, Dickie and I came to a discovery, which is that he and I can make very similar sounds, although I would not say I sound like Dickie Allen. I don't think I could trick anybody and like do a cover and they're like, oh, that sounds just like Delia, it would sound way more like me than anybody else. But he and I can create screams of varying color, tone, and texture. But the way we start those screams is incredibly different. We are doing some different stuff. And that's actually one of the reasons why it was the most fun video I've done on the channel. But the way that I would approach this sound, right? This is one of those instances where I'm not going to tell you exactly how he's doing it because he does it so differently. And I don't really remember how he described it, to be honest with you. But I would tell you, if I had to make this sound, how I would do it, right? This is a very like compressed sound that we're hearing, right? And when I say compressed, what I mean is we're stopping the airflow. There are different places in our voice that we can stop airflow, right? We can stop it. Well, we can stop it with the vocal cords. Generally speaking, in harsh vocalization, we don't really want to be doing that. We can stop it with the tissues above the vocal cords, right? We can stop it with the epiglottis. We can stop it with the tissues above that, like these palatopharyngeal folds. And the way that I would do it would be to focus less on, okay, target this tissue, okay, target that tissue. And I would look more for more of a sound, right? And for me, what be this sound? When I do that, what I feel, the sensation that I have is the back of my tongue and not like quite the roof of my mouth, but the back, that postpharyngeal wall are sort of like getting really, 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 really close. That's the sensation anyway, right? They're getting really, really, really close. And then what I would do is I would just try to grunt through it. Now, that's not to say that this counts as a false chord. Maybe some of you would call it a false chord. Maybe some of you wouldn't. What you call it wouldn't change the way it sounds, right? Which is it has, if I try to do this, which is a false chord grunt. And instead of trying to do that here, which gives me that sound, I'm going to try to do it up here. Now, that doesn't feel like a false chord at all, but I'm approaching it kind of with the same mindset, right? And then if I reduce the amount of vocal cord usage I'm using, get this sort of sound, which is very similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. It's close enough for me that if I was going to do a cover of this, I'd probably say good enough, right? The interesting thing about Dickie is how comfortable he is with it, right? He has been doing this for a long time, and it almost sounds like equal to his speaking voice from an effort perspective. Let's go ahead and keep going. There's more technique stuff that we could talk about, but I want you to pay attention to that. And that's one thing that many people who watch the channel know that when it comes to harsh vocals, especially like the sludgier side, he is actually one of my favorite vocalists, right? And part of the reason for that is he is able to create such powerful tones from a very serious point of relaxation. But anyways, let's keep going. Okay, so that sounds like we got some speed. I stand by my pauses, but had I known, I might have waited a little bit. Okay, so you know what this song feels like? This song feels like very anthemic. And what I mean is if this song had come out back in like 2010, 2009, when I would have been a sophomore in college. Yeah, 2009 would have been my second year of college. It sounds like me and Nico, who's the guitarist in Kardashev, and a couple of our friends would have been in the car with the windows down at like 3 a.m, not studying, and instead coming back from, I don't know, a Filiberto's or something, and playing this way too loud. That's the sort of like like that's the vibe I'm getting from this song here. Now, I'm not going to speak about the clean singing a whole lot. The reason for that is I do a lot of clean singing in Kardashev, but it's not what I tried to like teach here on the channel. And honestly, my expertise is in the like those types of noises. Most of the time, the clean singing, I leave that to Verona, our clean coach. And if you're interested in symphonic metal, if you like bands like Nightwish or Epica, she just did an Evanescence reaction yesterday. That was really good. You can check those out. But what I will say about the singing voice here is it is incredibly controlled. It is an amazing rock tone. It's not super gritty. It's very, very clean. And I love the amount of twang and brightness that is going on, especially the way that the voice, sort of the term isn't thins out. The voice gets lighter, but still stays powerful as he's reaching up into that, like, mixed belty stage. Right. So, I'm just going to kind of leave it there with my clean vocal analysis. Again, that's Verona's territory nowadays. But, yeah, the clean singing, excellent rock tone. Love the vibrato. Like, it's almost got like an old, like, arena rock vibrato, just not quite as dramatic. It sounds a little Iron Maiden-y maybe. I don't know if Iron Maiden counts as arena rock. I'm not saying it is. It's just another band that came to mind. But let's go ahead. I actually want to push play again because I think we're going to hear some cool vocal stuff. We're about halfway through, so that makes a lot of sense. Although we did start to hear some layers, a little bit more use of like lows and mids underneath. So let's keep going though, because I think there's probably going to be more to talk about. I know that I let you down. You're fighting in your brain. What do you think you can fix me? What do you think you can fix yourself? What do you think you can take? Before you bore me with your sad story, remember that it's better than the first place. There never was a crime, just a punishment. Yeah, so there's, okay, let's go ahead and talk about that. So we definitely heard some more lows and mids come through. And I'm not even going to attempt to sound like Dickie Allen because, again, when we did the Blasphemian video, we kind of came to the consensus like, hey, we are doing this very, very differently. But a lot of what Dickie Allen is doing for his mids and lows frequently, I'm not going to speak to the entirety of his existence as a vocalist because it's been a long time since I listened to like the Infinite Annihilator discography, like start to finish. I have heard the whole thing because his voice is amazing on it. But a lot of what he does has that very crisp, very crackly, very sort of like low volume, but high, like low volume, but very rounded tone, fry tone sound. Right. And we definitely had that there with like that crackly, sparkly sort of sound. And it sounded incredibly good. Not a lot of vocal cord, I should say not a lot of true chord pitch underneath it. And that's something that often gets referred to as like the power fry sound. I had a conversation with Lauren Babick on that recently. You can watch that video too. But it sounded really good. I'm waiting to see if he does a little bit more of it, a little bit more forward so I can listen to it more because I want to know if he's doing things a little bit differently as far as like the delivery. But so far what we have kind of an interesting song structure. It's going like, kind of A, B, but building a little, like Dickie's building a little bit each time, fairly subtly, but it is interesting. Also, it's doing some things I didn't quite expect. Like after that guitar flourish, I expected like a big punch and then it kind of pulled back a little bit. Didn't dislike it at all. Just was not what I expected. Let's go ahead and keep going. Yo, as always happens, the end of the song was my favorite. The end of the song was but that's every song. Like literally every song I think I've ever analyzed or whatever here on the channel, the end becomes my favorite. Also, as is usual, I wish it was twice as long. The end is so good, and every band does it. I'm a grown man. Fill the glass to the top with outro. Don't give me a little. Ugh. But I loved the panning, that like sort of side to side panning sound. That was really cool. I really like that. So this is actually really cool. And I want to listen to the outro one more time. And I want to point something out to you. So if you are familiar with, let's go. Also, I think it's funny that the ballet dancers are now goblins. Show me your goblin, they become goblins. I get it. Clever. So this is actually really cool. One thing that I actually end up, let me step back. There's a very valuable lesson for all of the people watching this video now who are new vocalists or are maybe experienced vocalists but don't have a lot of time in the studio. Very, very frequently, I will have students who, they know this logically, but emotionally, they have this presupposition that their voice should sound like the vocalists they're listening to on their albums. Very rarely is this the case. Very rarely is this the case. And the reason for that is because generally speaking, now I don't do audio production. So what I'm saying to you now is not like I'm an expert at audio production. This is coming from me having done a lot of time in the studio and standing off to the side and saying to the person doing the mixing, what are you doing there? What's that? Oh, cool. So expertise, shield down, right? This is me just speaking from experience. But a lot of the time, and feel free if you do a lot of audio production, mixing and mastering for like deathcore, death metal, black metal, feel free to chime in the comments below. But a lot of time what we're happening is we're hearing multiple layers at the same time. We're hearing compressors, we're hearing heavy EQing, right? And that's A, to give it a cool effect, but B, just to make it able to compete within the song. A term I used earlier in the video, and I'm hoping I used it correctly, sonic real estate, is a term that was presented to me when I was asking some questions about how a Kardashev song was being mixed. And essentially they were saying like, there's a lot going on. There's not a lot of room. So we kind of have to make the vocals sound this way or that way so they sit in the mix nicely. Some genres of music don't require as much of that. Some do. With Infinite Annihilator, there is a lot going on. Shredding, a lot of strategic, not strategic, a lot of surgical composition, and there is a ton of noise, and it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing, right? With this, it's an excellent composition. It's actually throwing me for a loop and giving me some surprises, which is hard to do, you know, when you're in your late 30s and you've heard a lot of music. It's hard to be surprised anymore, but this is really doing that. Even though it's a simple composition, it's an interesting composition. However, there's so much room for his voice. And so here's what I'm getting at. Yes, I know I'm long-winded. I don't care. Here's what I'm getting at. You're going to hear his voice a lot less affected than you've probably heard it in Infinite Annihilator. And it sounds equally as impressive. Oh, that's my son. I'm filming this on Saturday, so he's home. Usually I film it during the week. But anyway, you're going to hear him a lot less heavily affected. It still sounds amazing, but it doesn't sound the same. This sound is a lot closer to what you might actually put in the mic. And again, I'm sure that there is some production put on his voice because it's really rare to literally just scream into a mic and do nothing to it. Very uncommon if that ever is going to happen on like a released album. But again, sorry if you hear him out there playing. I know exactly what they're doing. They're playing Airplane, where he gets on my wife's feet and she lifts him up and then he holds his arms out and pretends to fly around. He always has a good time. Anyway, so I want you to listen to this first low, mid or low that comes through. Check this out. Really interesting. Okay, I think it's coming up here. I went way too far back, but then I decided to just play it because I like the second half of the song pretty well. Also, so interesting. This is my first Necrogoblikon song all the way through, believe it or not. And this is, I don't really have a point of reference between Dickie and whoever was first. I almost know nothing about this band, but there's the guy in the goblin mask singing. He is incredible. His ability to brighten and push his voice forward while still sounding rounded and having a low end in it, that is some tone work. That is some tone work, and it sounds good. Let's keep going. I want to get to that mid low. Listen to Show Me Your. Show Me Your. Now, that is a lot closer to a vocal that if you were practicing along, you could do it in your car and it would sound pretty close. Not exactly, because you don't have any, like a compressor on there or anything. Maybe they don't. I'd be surprised if they don't, just because it's pretty standard to do so. But what you're hearing is very similar to the sound that you could actually practice. So this would be, if you're a new harsh vocalist and you're getting into these more compressed sounds, like these, or these, which that's not the same way he does it. Well, it's been 3 years, so maybe he's changed his tone a little bit. When I do this, I squeeze the tissues above the vocal folds, and I actually learned, there are people who had told me this on the internet before. They'd said, I suspect you're using a little bit more epiglottis than you think. And my answer used to originally be, I don't think so, because like 4 or 5 years ago, I got scoped and I didn't have a ton of epiglottis going on. Well, I just got back from Utah last month doing this study with charismatic voice. I use a lot more epiglottis now. So our voices change over time, right? There's a lot more epiglottis now. But the way I do it is, I close up those top tissues. But anyway, I don't want to get off track on how I do it. But this is a great song to practice to. You can hear what he's doing. You can hear it fairly accurately, and he's very forward. When he says "Show me your goblin," you can almost hear his lips like drooping. Show me your goblin, and that's a category, or that's a characterization of the vocals by both vocalists across this entire song. Everything is bright and forward. When we're doing these, if we switch with our clean voice, it'll show us where our resonance placement is, our vocal placement, right? And if I switch, right? Everything here is, maybe not everything, much of what is happening here is bright, forward, pingy, twangy. I'm not going to talk about it now because I've already been at this for 25 minutes. I got to go be a dad. But if you are having trouble making your vocals have the tone, you're activating right, you're supporting right, but they just don't have the tone that you want, look into twang. Learn about twang. I teach twang. Verona teaches. Any vocal coach is good. Twang is super common. Like twang has been talked about and known for a very long time. But look into adding some twang into your voice. One of the best ways to hear this is with just a basic fundamental false chord sound, right? Something super simple, not very interesting. Right? If I take that and I do it here, doesn't sound horrible. It's not the sound that I want. Now instead of I'm gonna go blow, blow. I like that sound a lot better, personally. Let's finish it out.
Now that's how you show me your goblin. Well done, everybody.
Johnny Gogs.
What?
Johnny Gogs. Johnny Gogs.
What are you saying,
Johnny
Dickie? What?
Gogs.
Johnny Gogs.
Johnny Gogs.
Johnny Gogs.
Johnny Gogs.
Johnny
Johnny
Gogs.
Gogs.
Johnny
Gogs.
Johnny
Johnny
Gogs.
Johnny Gobs. Johnny Gobs. Johnny Gobs. Listen.
Yeah.
Wasn't the guy with the curly hair? Call me crazy. Was he the because like I've obviously seen pictures of the band. Like I guess when I say I know nothing, I don't know nothing. But the guy with the curly hair, wasn't he the previous Harsh vocalist? Did he make a little cameo? That'd be cool. Anyways, I can't find it. Doesn't matter. So essentially, this is a very new avenue for Senor Allen here. This is a very new avenue for him. He's using techniques that I have heard him use before, but he's using them in different ways, which is that he's not trying to be as crazy and disgusting as possible. He's using them more narratively. There's a lot of speaking voice. There's a lot of articulation. There's a lot of control. And it's really, I think this is such a good song for showing how versatile vocals can be. Because again, if I can get him on for part 2, we'll see. No promises. But you know, oftentimes I'm going to go on a soapbox and I'm going to ramble. So let me say the concise version of this. We oftentimes think, like I hear people say, oh, those are black metal vocals, or those are deathcore vocals, or those are death metal vocals. And certainly to a degree, we can look at a genre and we can say, yes, these are characteristics that tend to exist frequently. However, I think you can really take vocals from pretty much any genre and move them almost wherever you want. Like I use a lot of deathcore vocal techniques, and Kardashev is not deathcore by a long shot. Not for any particular reason. That's just not how it played out, right? And so I'm really enjoying hearing, it's a little bit jarring, but in a way I find interesting and fun to hear Dickie Allen from like the Egg and the Boy album, right? Battle of, you know, it's interesting. I've been just saying Egg and Boy for so long. I don't actually remember what those albums are called because I just say Egg and Boy, right? They're acronyms for the album names. What is it? Battle of Yog-Sothoth, maybe? Battle of Yoggoth, something. And then Egg is I literally don't remember. Just watch. Those aren't even album acronyms, and I look like an idiot. Anyway, it's interesting to hear. It's interesting to hear him taking what he does and putting it into an entirely new genre of metal in an entirely different way and be effective at it. It's a really good example of versatility. And I hope we get more of his like craziness from Infinite Annihilator. Maybe that's in part 2. But good for him for branching out, for kind of expanding his horizons and doing this new thing. Super cool. If you know a lot about Nekrogoblikon, tell me about it in the comments below, because literally, like I said, I know absolutely or close to nothing about this band. So if I said anything stupid, be nice. I don't even know the guy's name in the mask. I'll tell you this, I didn't even really know that he hopped around during the music. I didn't even know he was a vocalist. I thought he was like a mascot that appeared on like merch, but this guy's like an amazing singer. And maybe, I don't know, you tell me. The clean voice was solid. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling right now. If you like vocal analysis videos, be sure to click around the channel. We have a lot of them. If you want to learn more about harsh vocals, check out KardavoxAcademy.com. I would be more than happy. I've given over 5,000 lessons. I do this full time, teaching people how to so they don't hurt themselves. And that's all I've got for you. Many thanks. Sorry, I'm a little bit flighty in this lesson. I'm hearing my son, and this entire video, I've been fighting dad brain to go and be like, oh, did he drop something? Oh, did he smack his head? Which is silly because my wife's out there and she's a great mom. So I don't know why I'm like, it's just like this knee jerk. So anyways, I'm going to go be a dad. Thank you so much for watching. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.